officially kick us underway. So welcome to today's session of the 7-Day Business Fuel Challenge. I am your host, Rebecca Newman, the founder and CEO of the Grow Project, a business training and coaching program specifically for women who want to understand how to grow businesses and babies at the same time. And that is certainly something that Kim Morrison knows a lot about, having done that and created amazing businesses and amazing products, all while raising absolutely beautiful children. Kim is currently based on the Sunshine Coast and has a wonderfully successful business. I do feel today I'm in the company of a rock star, and I will explain that why in a minute. But essentially, Kim is a health and lifestyle educator, an international speaker, an aromatherapist, and the founder and creator of the amazing 28 Essentials. And the reason I feel like I'm in a presence of a rock star is, I guess, Kim, when I first came across you, it was on a podcast, and you were hanging out with rock stars that I actually knew. And then I actually discovered the reason you were hanging out with rock stars like Cindy O'Meara and the amazing Karen Smith was actually because you're a rock star yourself. And what I've come to learn about you and how much knowledge you have, the beautiful energy you bring to the world, and the ripple effect that your education creates is absolutely phenomenal. So I am so pleased to have met you many years ago when you first started the Up for a Chat podcast series. And since that time, I've got to come and meet you and to experience your products, which I now get to experience every day in my bathroom. So thank you very much for joining me today. It is absolutely wonderful to be in your company.
Thank you so much. That is so sweet. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here and to be part of something that you've developed like this. It's kind of amazing, and I love the philosophy and behind it. So thank you.
Thank you. So let's start off with one of the statements that there's a few topics I'd love to unpack today, and we will see how many we can squeeze in, because I do love to squeeze in a good conversation. But let's start off with one of the lines that stands in my mind mostly when I think about you, Kim, and it's that self-care is not selfish, it's essential.
Yes. Yeah, that came about actually when we were writing our first book, Like Chocolate for Women. And while we were writing the book, my girlfriend and I, as we were going through it, we were trying to come up with, what would be the byline, how would it look? And it was a clinical psychologist, Dr. Angela Huntsman, who we were interviewing. And she turned around and she said, well, I absolutely love the line that you both say, which is self-care is not selfish, it's essential. So apparently I've been saying it all along. But it's funny when someone else points it out, you don't realise there's little gems sitting there. And it really comes about by the other way of saying it is you've got to top your own tank before you can give to others. I mean, women are notorious and also beautifully known for giving. And they want to give, and it's natural for us to want to nourish and nurture and look after people. The challenge lies when it comes back to ourselves, and more often than not, most women end up becoming a martyr to self-care. They don't think anyone else cares. They don't think anyone else gets it the way they do. They probably start shutting out people trying to help them because it's just easier to get on and do it themselves. So it becomes this vicious circle until at some point you either blow a fuse, you're cranky, you're not coping very well, you're exhausted. Your husband and children or people around you, they don't like to see you fall down, so they kind of all freak out a little bit. So and the cold, harsh reality is nobody actually cares. It's as harsh as that sounds, no one cares. They just want to know that you're great. And if you are a woman particular and you have got a family, then you are the rock, whether you want to be or not. And it's a beautiful honour and an amazing privilege, but it's one that we need to revere and look after rather than actually get cross with or, get upset with the fact that that's the responsibility. Ultimately, it is that.
And you have an amazing journey, and having myself a very keen interest in sport and the psychology of sport, you have a wonderful history. How did you come through your running and through all your pursuits? I guess, what's your story and how did you come to focus on the self-care side of things?
It's a fascinating thing when you look at your whole story, and I keep thinking I'm still at the beginning, but I'm nearly 50. It started when I was a teenager. I loved netball, loved playing netball, and absolutely lived to become a silver fern, a Kiwi netballer. I realised that I grew too short, and most netballers these days are very strong and very quite tall, a lot of them. So I ended up moving over to Australia. I trialled for the Western Australian under-21 team, and I got into the trials for that. And then all of a sudden it hit me, I don't want to live in Perth. I'm too far away from New Zealand. I wanted to get back. So I came back to the East Coast, where I happened to be studying my massage and aromatherapy papers, and I was doing a fitness leadership program. I was doing 3 different diplomas at one time. And it was while I was doing that I had to get up 200 log hours in the community for my sports certificate. And I went to an ultramarathon event, and there was a man there called Cliff Young, who won the inaugural Sydney to Melbourne race at 68 years of age, a potato farmer. And I got assigned to him. And when I told him in the middle of the night of a 24-hour race how boring it was and that I can't wait to go home, he told me to put my money where my mouth was and enter one, because it would be the first time I'd ever met myself. I'll never forget his words. And so I went, I'd much rather run one than watch one. So I filled out the form for a 12-hour race, never run beyond 10Ks in my life, and I won the female section. There was more than a few female runners, but I won the female section running 95.4 Ks. But I really struggled. Winning that gave me access into a 24-hour Victorian Championship race, which freaked me out because now I had to do it all over again and twice as long. But I was a little bit more prepared, and Cliffy gave me a few more little insights around obviously physical things about eating well, which, believe it or not, probably back then, looking at it, I was so trendy. It was very paleo orientated, very much protein, fat, and things like chicken soup. And then what happened in that 24-hour race, which was quite extraordinary, is I ended up setting a world record for being the youngest female to run 100 miles in less than 24 hours. And that gave me a place to represent Australia at the World Indoor 24-Hour Championships. So within a year, I went from being a netball player to a Australian representative ultramarathon runner. I still to this day don't know how it happened, but I did that for a number of years. And I have to say, I've done marathons since, and I've done half marathons, and I much prefer that distance now. So yeah, I haven't done another ultra since my 20s. So no, it was tough. So yes, that led me into the path about really finding out who I am, my darkest moments, how I behave when I'm exhausted, and it's not pretty. You throw tantrums, you demand, you become grumpy, you do all the things that we all do, but I did it all in a 24-hour period, and I'll never forget Cliffy saying, you will get to know yourself very, very well. You will meet you for the first time. And he was absolutely right. There is nothing like exhaustion and physical, mental, and emotional fatigue to push you to the brink and to find out what you're about. So I'm saying that I took it for the team, and that you don't have to push yourself to the brink to do that. But we have to understand that struggle is part of success. Struggle is part of life. And the sooner we become accustomed to understanding that, the better we should get at feeling uncomfortable. I always say get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because ultimately at the end of the day, unless we're uncomfortable, we're not pushing ourselves. Doesn't mean to say burn yourself out, but there's little things you can do along the way. So what I learned in my ultramarathon days was that, you had to do little things often. So, eat something beautiful and healthy rather than something that's not so good for me. Make sure I use my oils, make sure that I have a quick massage and I get back out on the track. So if you look at 24-hour race as a life, then ultimately every one of those parts of the race became a metaphor for every other part of my life. So you've got to give to your team. You've got to also take instructions. You've got to be willing to put in the hard work, but you've also got to be willing to take time out and really switch off when you get the opportunity. You've also got to be coachable, as I said, and actually be really willing to learn. And I think from a business perspective, that was probably one of the greatest things that I've taken into business is I'm always asking questions. I'm always open to learning more, and I'm always open to being coached. I don't always like what I hear, and I don't know any of us that do like to be told off or told that we don't do something well. But, ultimately I got comfortable being uncomfortable with that. And the same thing happened with speaking. I never wanted to be a speaker. I hated public speaking, and then got the opportunity to speak for an aromatherapy company in Melbourne when I was in my early 20s. They trained me up, and then I was selected to be their international presenter. So I went from everything I said I wouldn't do, I ended up doing and becoming. And maybe that's my purpose in life, is to show people what's possible, and to really, truly, ultimately understand that life is full of flow and ebb. You're always going to have highs and you're always going to have lows. And I think the most important thing that I've learned is how to ride the lows and how to come out of them quicker, rather than becoming a victim to them or going below the line and feeling like there's denial or no accountability and excuses and blame and all of that sort of thing. That's the easy thing to do. The hardest thing is to go above the line with any hardship or challenge and take ownership of it, be responsible and accountable. So again, to me, it's really important that, in the ultramarathon of life, you're going to hit walls, you're going to get blisters, you're going to get chafing. How do we protect ourselves, or more importantly, how do we heal ourselves in the most natural, chemical-free way that supports ourselves, our family, the community, and our environment? And I guess that's where 28 came in.
Absolutely. And I love the way that you talk about the ebbs and flows and the highs and the low points and the choices that you make in those. One of the reasons that I started the Grow Project was actually because I found that it was the smartest women in Australia who were actually struggling with the concept of motherhood. And in particular, I saw it was, one of those park bench moments. I was sitting about 6 weeks after the birth of my second child, and some grandparents came into this playground with these two children that were exactly the same age as mine. And short story, I guess, the shorter story, because I'm good at long ones, was that the grandmother and I were chatting, and she was telling me that she was giving her son and daughter-in-law a weekend off. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And it was they were doing it proactively this time. And essentially, her son was a builder. Her daughter-in-law was a very successful marketing executive. And unfortunately, while she was very successful in the business world, when she transitioned across to motherhood, she didn't cope at all, to the extent that she actually ended out in a mental health facility. And I kind of went, wow, it's the smartest women in Australia who are actually struggling. And I know how to help them. Having done what I've done, I need to go and talk. There's a bigger problem than I originally thought. And it's actually the appreciation of those highs and lows and the skills that you have in life that it seems that many use in business, and then they leave them at the door when they then go into motherhood. So that ability to make those choices and use those tools and those skills, and the way you, Kim, see things as an opportunity, and it was like, oh, I was never planning to do that, and I didn't think this would happen, and here's what happened. And you have an amazing story, and the way that you've come to create 28 is just, it's amazing. And I just wanted to share that, because I think it's interesting how we learn skills in life and which ones we can sometimes leave at the door, and which ones we can use. So thank you.
Thank you.
And in relation to 28, you were the first person to actually make me realise. Now, I wish I'd known a long time ago, but unfortunately it's not the case. I didn't actually know anything about how the skin worked in terms of what it absorbs. So could you talk first, before we talk about the 28 skincare side of things, can you talk to me about the skin?
Yeah, I think it's our largest organ, and unfortunately in today's society we are bombarded with imagery and visions and magazines and websites and everything of this perfect looking skin, perfect looking bodies, and this unbelievable hope that we buy in a jar that could be $500, $200, $60, whatever it is. Now, what we haven't really been taking notice of is what we're putting on our skin. So if you think about the skin as the largest organ of the body, it is a system, if you like, or it's an organ that actually absorbs and it excretes. So it's not that it breathes, but that's probably a good way of imagining it. But anything you put onto the skin has the potential to be absorbed and put into the bloodstream. And we know that just even from medications now that are given on the skin, and people are given it through patch tests and things like that. So it is a very vital living organism. We have thousands and thousands, millions of hair follicles, and it's through the hair follicle where it goes down into the sebum, where we actually have access to the capillaries, where the bloodstream, so that's where the molecules will get in through the hair shaft, and it'll be absorbed into the bloodstream there. Now, the body also the skin also excretes. So through urine, sweat and breath, the body will excrete products that are taken into the system, either orally or transdermally. So it is a very, very important system. Obviously, it makes our skin colour. The way that we manufacture vitamin D is through the sun. So where most people are told get out of the sun, and interesting that Australia has the highest cancer rate in the world, yet we supposedly put on these amazing creams to protect us from the sun. Yet I say to people, go out in the sun between 10 and 2 for 15, 20 minutes. That's the best time of the day to be out there, because that's when the UVA and the UVB rays really do work on the skin to create and manufacture with cholesterol our vitamin D, which is one of the biggest vitamins that we are now lacking at the moment or not getting enough of. Interesting that the skin and the cancer that is everybody's going on, that it's the sun. Well, I have a different theory, and I personally believe a lot of it is related to stress, and therefore, and us not manufacturing the right hormones, but also the chemicals that are in all these skincare, personal care, cosmetic products that we are bombarding ourselves with. Most women, before they've even walked out of their bathroom in the morning, would have put somewhere between 200 and 300 chemicals on their skin, on their body, before they've even left their bathroom. So when you start to add up, and that's not even going into cleaning or going into what they're going to eat or whatever else it is that they do. So it's pretty frightening when you realise the potential. Now, most people would say, well, why would they put it in there? How can they get away with that? Well, the reality is the FDA and any beauty conglomerates out there, it's even worse than the food manufacturing industry. And the only reason a product or an ingredient is ever taken off the market is when someone is hurt, injured, maimed or killed. So in the last in the build-up, the latest count is about 86,000 chemicals that are allowed into our beauty and skincare ranges on the market today. And in the last, I think it's only in the last 7 years have we reduced and had 5 of those chemicals taken off or taken away. So when you compare 84,000 to 5, it's a pretty small amount. Now, when you look at the accumulation effect, that's even scarier. So yes, everyone will say, oh no, it's in safe amounts, it's only small amounts, but you're putting that on every day. Some of you are putting it on morning and night. Every day for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The build-up over that time is what I'm most concerned about, because, yeah, I could go and put on I better not name products, but a very typical brand that you could buy at David Jones or Myers, and I'd probably be fine. I could probably be fine using it for a year maybe. But maybe that's what's giving me thyroid or an autoimmune disease. Maybe that's what's affecting my energy levels. Maybe that's something that's really affected the way that I'm in relationship with people, because it's a major hormone disruptor in there. Most of these chemicals are endocrine disrupting, or they are potential carcinogenics. So I just say, if there's any question, even the ones that they say are kind of okay, I just go, well, why would we fight this? Why are we even challenging it when nature has provided us a plethora of incredible ingredients, of the most amazing, beautiful plant extracts that we can use on our skin, pure and straight from nature? So from my point of view, when I started, and I guess I got really, really interested in this when I became pregnant. So for the first time in my life, I had to consider someone else. And while I was rubbing on this thing called bio oil onto my stomach when I was just pregnant with Taylor, I happened to turn the bottle over and I looked at all the ingredients and I couldn't even understand them. So then I started Googling them and started researching them. Then my girlfriend and I started looking at them. And we realised that there was red flags even back then, that it's a petrochemical. It's mainly synthetic. There is nothing natural. It's even got a colouring in there that's been banned in a number of countries. And yet dermatologists and pregnant women put this on their bodies all the time, or people use it post-operatively and whatnot. And it's a massive company out there. And yes, they do it in small amounts and everybody's probably fine using it. But I go, why not use rosehip oil? Why not use jojoba oil? Even sweet almond oil? Why not squeeze aloe vera straight from your plant if you've got a scar? Why not use essential oils that are just pure plant extracts? And the funny thing is, Rebecca, I have people ring me and go, oh my gosh, I'm worried, is lavender safe to use during pregnancy? And I go, oh my gosh, people put, all these creams and things. They fill their car with petrol and they inhale petrol. They eat packaged foods. They smoke or they drink cigarettes. I don't know, but it's kind of weird that people ask me if lavender's safe when there are so many other things out there that have such impact on our health. But here's the thing. It's the unknown. And because it's not spoken about, if you think about it, the big cosmetic companies out there are multi-billion-dollar corporations. And just like the food industry, there's a lot of money at stake. So for people like little old me to turn around and challenge these companies, I actually gave up on challenging them years ago. I realised there's just no point. I just wanted to create something that people felt that they could trust, that it was safe, that you could put onto a baby's skin, your baby, and know that that baby would never suffer. And I wanted to have something that people could use in a ritualistic way, because I noticed for myself when I was a young mum with 2 young children, I was exhausted. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was hurt. I was a martyr. I was just, there was so many things. And the reason it was just emotional exhaustion. I was not in control of my own feelings. So by starting these little rituals that I'd been doing since I was 19 when I was doing my aromatherapy diploma, it was like, oh my gosh, why would I not give myself a full body boost every single morning? It only takes me a minute. Am I not worth a minute every morning? And as I'm doing it, I tell my body how beautiful she is and how amazing she is. And even the wobbly bits and the saggy boobs and the wrinkles and the stretch marks and everything. There's women out there that would give anything to have my stretch marks because they can't have children. There's women out there that would love my saggy boobs because they would love to have breastfed their child, or they would love to get rid of their cancer or their disease, or do anything to have their breast back. So it really hit me, particularly when I was looking after a top Paralympian athlete. His name was Brett in Melbourne. And he came in his wheelchair on Monday after I'd done a big training run. And he came in to me and he said, I was 20 years of age. He goes, Kimmy, how did your run go? And I'd done a 50K training run in the weekend. And I said, oh, Brett, my legs are killing me. And as the words came out, I just looked at him horrified with myself and just said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he went, you know what? Don't worry about it, but know this. And he looked at me really cross and he goes, I'd give frickin' anything for that feeling in my legs. I'd give anything to have cramp and lifting toenails and blisters. So don't you dare come in here ever again and tell me your legs are killing you. And I guess I've taken that a step further and I say to women, don't you dare say your legs are fat and chunky and ugly, or that your stomach's not right or whatever, when you're drinking wine on weekends, or you love Tim Tams, or you enjoy your ice cream, or you love eating lots of bread. Like, ultimately, if you want the beautiful Elle Macpherson figure, or whatever it is, the figure that you think is perfect, then you got to know that those women spend a lot of time restraining from eating lots of different foods. They look after themselves. Yes, they might have the money to do all the things that we're wishing we could do as well, but ultimately it comes down to choices that what you put into and onto your body is ultimately, to me, what creates health and well-being and longevity.
Absolutely. And I think I didn't even realize the stuff that my skin was even drinking. Tell me, how do people start? Like, when they're thinking about the skincare side of things, I do want to talk about, the oil side of things, because you are an amazing educator there. And I do feel that you've really returned a lot of innate wisdom to me to actually be able to trust myself, and even simple things like smelling your blends. But we'll get onto that. But with the skincare side of things, you mentioned, you'll turn it over and it's so foreign. So how do you suggest people start when they're looking at their skincare?
Go back to basics. What would your grandmother have done? She probably used mashed avocado and mashed bananas and things like that. Now, if you don't want to go into the kitchen for your skincare, then all I say is Here's the number one thing. From me, when I'm teaching people to start, from a food perspective, if I see 2 ingredients on a packet or anything, if I see 951 or 631, which is aspartame and MSG, then I can pretty much guarantee that that company won't care about any other ingredients, even if the rest of it says it's natural. So as far as I'm concerned, if I see those 2 numbers, 951 or 631, it's gone out of our family. And that's what I taught my kids from a very young age. They'd see some food that every other kid seems to be able to have, and mine were deprived. And I go, let's have a look at the numbers. Can we see the numbers? And if they saw those numbers, we'd put it back because they're the most common. From a skincare perspective, if I see the word paraben, any sort of paraben, I will not touch it. If I see anything like TEA, DEA, or PEG, any of those, then I don't go near it. If I see things like sodium lauryl sulfate, or if I see any sort of colorings or additives or numbers. Now, when I created 28, and I'm not the only one out there, but one of my things was that you would know when you read olive oil, oh, you know what olive oil is. You know what coconut oil is. You know what lavender pure essential oil is. You know what, there is no weird names on my things. So for me, the minute I start seeing all these weird names, and they're not botanical names, they're scientific chemical names, then I'll probably go away from using those those products. And I tell you what, it makes it really simple. The minute you can look on the front in a beautiful packaging of skincare, and it's telling you it's going to get rid of its wrinkles, and you pick it up and you turn it over and you see sodium lauryl sulfate and in brackets coconut derived, or you'll see PEG, DEA, you'll see phthalates isn't even mentioned on there. So the word phthalates is 300 chemicals alone. So if you see the word fragrance, then you know that there's going to be phthalates in there, which is another 300 chemicals. Most fragrances are a minimum of 300 to 600 chemicals just to make it. So I go, well, do I want to put 600 chemicals on my baby or on me? No. Do I need to? No. What about pure lavender oil in a little tablespoon of coconut oil, 1 drop of lavender and a tablespoon of coconut oil, and I massage my baby after her bath? What about me doing a body boost with a teaspoon of, say, sweet almond oil and 1 drop of lavender, 1 drop of geranium, and 1 drop of frankincense? Rub my hands together, slap that 1 little teaspoon, and then go back and go, oh, you're amazing. I love you. Thank you for getting me through yesterday. Yes, there's a few wrinkles, but you know what? It's thanks to you that I've got 2 beautiful babies. Yes, you might droop a little bit, but you know what? You're mine. And I do this little thing every day, you know, that I just, while I can easily see the negatives, I quickly have learnt from a very young age, and it was thanks to Brett, I call it a Brettism, is that I quickly turn it into not what I haven't got, but what I have got. And I'm like any other woman out there. I'll look naked in the mirror and go, well, there'll be something that I could be easily disappointed with, but it's my pickup time that's really got quick. And I'll turn around and go, yeah, but look at your amazing arms. Look what you lifted at the gym this morning, you know. So I try and always give that celebrationary approach. And you know what? On the days that I'm not feeling great, or that I have overeaten, or that I've overindulged, I'll look in the mirror and I'll go, wasn't very nice, was I? But you know what? I love you. I loved every moment of it. And today, she's a brand new day. Let's love you up. So I go back into that feeling again of, because some days it's great to pick out on a weekend and go to a girlfriend's birthday and have 3 glasses of champagne, or, you know, if you drink, you know, or whatever it is. I think sometimes forgiveness of what it is that we do in the moment, so that you fully enjoy it. And when I know I'm going to eat a dessert, or when I know I'm going to have something that maybe my body isn't going to enjoy as much, I have this little mantra. As I'm about to eat it, I'll say, my body assimilates and eliminates with ease, love, and grace. And then I enjoy it. Otherwise, I'm going to sit there feeling so damn guilty, and then I think I'll stuff it, I'll have some more, and then I think, well, I've ruined it now. Might as well go and have another piece. You know, it's that internal chatter, which I got to meet very much in the ultramarathon days, who's sitting there going, sit down, you're useless, it's hopeless, why are you doing this? And the other voice going, well, you filled out the form, you wanted to do it, why would you do this to yourself? You know, you've got that constant banter. Well, for me now, it's about listening to the banter, well, not even listening, but acknowledging the banter, and then going, you know what, guys, I'm over this. I'm going to go and put my spritzer on. I'm going to spritz myself. I'm going to, right next to my desk here, if I ever have a negative thought, if I'm getting overwhelmed, I just close my eyes and spritz, or I'll go and put a drop of something on a tissue. Frankincense is my favourite at the moment for a coat of armour, and I just inhale that when I find out that the labels haven't arrived when they said they would, and we're about to launch a brand new product. And, it's all of those things. Again, the up and down of life. What can I do in the moment? I could nut off and get very angry and tell everybody that they're bad and all that. But, we all know those people. And at the end of the day, we all look at them and go, la, 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 and we don't care. It's about relationships as well. More importantly, the relationship with self.
Absolutely. And I think the Body Boost, which people can Google your name and Body Boost, and I know a video will come up because I've seen it.
I must update that.
Of that time that you can take yourself. I think it's a beautiful ritual that you can put in place every day. And it's like, okay, am I worth 2 minutes every morning? Yeah. If I'm not worth 2 minutes every morning, then I'm probably not going to do so great for the rest of the day. And it gives you a conscious choice to choose how you want to be today. I need to be chilled. I want to be vibrant. I want to be courageous. I think it gives you that point. And you do talk a lot on your blog, in your amazing newsletters. You have the best newsletter that I ever get in my inbox. I have been subscribed for a long time, and it's a weekly baby. I love your videos. I love your workouts. I love following you on social media as well. So it's all there, and it's all the little pieces of education that people can get from you. But that Body Boost is an absolutely brilliant one. And
I think I call them micro moments, like we all try and want this whole utopia of wellness and all of that sort of thing. But ultimately, as I keep saying, it is up and down all the time. Even within, you say, I've just done my Body Boost, I'm courageous, I'm excited, you walk out the door and your child's just vomited on the floor, or your husband's just dropped a big glass bottle in the kitchen, and all of a sudden everything's gone out the window. And it's like, well, you know what? In this moment, I'm going to have to try and be a little bit more courageous, But it's, stuff happens. And it's happening to everybody everywhere. And I'm sure some of you listening to this right now, you yourself, or you will know someone who is going through a pretty tough time. And it's from my heart to yours that I say this. My favourite line that's got me through some of my darkest moments: this too shall pass. And all we have to do is find little micro moments of magic to get us through that, to breathe through the next moment, to make it through the next moment. And guess what? I just did. Oh, and there's another moment. And you know what? I'm going to lean into the next hour. I'm going to try and walk to the beach and barefoot and come back again. That's what I'm achieving today. It might be those minor micro moments that is what creates the place and space for you to honour the place that you've been in. Because let's face it, everything isn't perfectly perfect. And even though when we're in the middle of drama or something right now, it feels anything but perfect, in hindsight, when we look back at it in 1, 2, 3 years' time, you realise that played a very important part as to who you are here right now today. So I think it's really important to not beat yourself up in those moments. I'm very humbled by what you say about me, because just this morning I was thinking how bad my newsletters were, and I was thinking, gosh, I need to up the ante or do something. And then all of a sudden I hear someone like you say that, and I go, oh, maybe it's not so bad. We all do it. So it is that beauty in giving a compliment like you just did, and someone gratefully accepting it, that has the power of reciprocity to its max. So the next time, here's the challenge to you all. Today, go and pay someone a compliment. It might just be, thank you so much for getting that done for me. Sweetheart, I'm so proud of you. Or, oh my gosh, it's even more fun when you do it to a complete stranger. You go, oh my God, and I go up to guys and I go, you are so hot. Like, seriously, thank you for being on Mooloolaba Beach today in that outfit. I really enjoyed it. And I'm sure they look at me and think, oh, flipping, bloody mutton dressed up as lamb or something. I don't know, whatever they think, but they smile usually. And then I go, no, really, I appreciated that today. Thank you. Or I'll say to a woman who I saw smoking in the streets of Melbourne, she was stunning. And I went up to her and I went, sweetheart, I said, I've been watching you. You're the most exquisite, unbelievable goddess I've ever looked at and watched. And then I watched you pull out that cigarette. And I just want you to know, if someone had told me at your age, don't ever do that, I would take it on. So I'm just saying this from my heart to yours. I don't even know. I think maybe my grandmother's channeling to tell you this. but you need to stop doing that because it's not a good look. And you look at you. And my girlfriend Cindy Emerson, and she goes, only you would get away with that, So have a bit of fun with it. But by giving a compliment, you have to remember what it means to take and receive one. So if someone says to you, Kim, your newsletter is great, or gosh, your hair's looking amazing, 2 words, thank you. That's all you need to say, because now you've accepted the beauty in giving that compliment. It's fun to give, but there's a real art to receiving as well.
I think the micro moment is a wonderful segue to talk a bit more about oils, because they're a wonderful way to create a change. When I first started with your oils, I started with your book. And getting a little bit of confidence, and I really needed assistance that day, not in your beautiful, amazing new offices, but in your much smaller one. It was a hot summer day, and my husband and kids were outside in the little red Volvo, and I was trying not to talk too much, and you were helping me to navigate the oils, and I was having a bit of difficulty with the blends and such, whereas now I find it to be much more intuitive. But I find with the oils, I can use them to set an intent, or I can use them to change a moment. So I would love you to actually explain how essential oils can change a moment. Like, what is an essential oil?
It's a pure plant extract, so it's taken directly from the plant, and it can come from the leaves, the rind of the fruit, the flower, the root, the grass, whatever it is. It's extracted mainly through steam distillation. And when we have that taken that into its purest, most potent part of the plant, I call it the fingerprint of the plant, or the essential part of the plant. It's the part that gives it its aroma. It's the most incredible thing. So you've got to remember that essential oils are around 100 times more concentrated than the plant or source they've come from. So these tiny little potent substances. Now, when you think about our sense of smell, when you inhale anything, in particular an essential oil, most essential oils are made up between 200 and 300, 400 constituents. So every one of those little constituents travel up the olfactory system. They hit the limbic part of the brain, and then via the olfactory and limbic systems, the odor is registered, and then via the neurochemicals in the brain and via the central nervous system, we have a biochemical physiological reaction within 4 seconds. So that's why you can inhale lavender and go, oh, or you can inhale peppermint and go, whoa, and you can have this instant pep-me-up. The other way that essential oils work is on the skin. So when we place it into a base oil like coconut or sweet almond or jojoba or whatever it is that you're using, and like before when I said you place it on the skin via the hair follicle, it's picked up and then transported into the blood system. And usually within 4 to 6 hours it stays in the system, and then it's excreted through our urine, breath or sweat. So that's how they work on the body. Now here's the interesting thing, and I'll put the question to you all. Do you think behaviour is emotionally governed? Do you think that we do things based on emotion or logic? Because when you think about it, we often think it's, I drive because, I have to. It's logical. This is how I drive my car. You've got to get from A to B. If you're very emotional, though, if you've had some bad news, you're not thinking about how you're driving. You're just so wrapped in the emotion, or you're rushing, or you're behaving in a way. Yes, you might still be driving, but now you're not driving with probably logic. You're driving with emotions. You walk past a beautiful French bakery, and French croissants have just been put out, and as you walk past, you're starving hungry. When you inhale that smell, you have an instant physiological reaction. You might start salivating. Your tummy might start rumbling. You actually find yourself walking in there, and you've got to have one, or maybe 2 if you're hungry, and worse if you're 3 or 4 because you're so hungry. So the thing is, we are driven by our emotions, and smell is very closely linked to our emotions. This is why I love essential oils and aromatherapy, because if you can think of when you're feeling, let's say, I'll give you an example. When my little girl was 2, she's now 18 nearly. When she was 2, she had a bad dream, and she woke in the night, and I went in there and I said, oh, sweetheart, what's happened? And she said, I've had a bad dream, and Bugs Bunny bit me and it hurt. And she was just so upset. So I said to her, look, Mummy, I'll get you a blend. I'll make you an anti-nightmare. You just had a nightmare. I'll make you this anti-nightmare blend. She goes, I don't like that name. I said, oh, what should we call the blend? Which was frankincense, geranium and lavender. And she goes, I call it my angel fairy dust blend. And I just went, oh my gosh, which is now our instant calm blend, by the way. That's what it was started on. I turned around and I said, well, as I massage your angel fairy dust blend onto you, and you just got to know that that dream wasn't real, and you're working with it. So I'm now working on her physically, emotionally, mentally, and probably spiritually. But she coached me in that moment as well, and I've never called it my fat legs blend or my de-stress blend. I've called it, it's my uplift blend, it's my luscious legs blend. It's, go for what you're looking for, not for what you're trying to get rid of. I wouldn't call it my headache blend, So it's those sorts of things that I think with essential oils that can become beautiful daily rituals. So you can use them in a spritzer, where you simply have a little bottle like this, 50 mils, fill it with water, you put your drops in there, and throughout the day, you just take a moment and then get back into your work. It's almost like that meditation gong. Every 60 minutes, we have the gong go off in the office, we all spritz, and then we get back to work again. It's just a moment, a micro moment that will fuel us into the next moment. As a busy mum, or if you're a busy mum and a business owner, it's massive. That no one does it like you. No one gets everything done the way you do. But some days you end up being in a flat more than you are productive. And it's those days that is not to get beating up with yourself and not to get angry with yourself, but to turn around and say, actually, why am I feeling like this? Why have I got a cold? Why have I got a headache? You know what, Kim Morrison, it's about time you practiced what you preached and did a little bit of self-care. You're leaving today at 3 o'clock and you're going to go home. You're going to run 3 o'clock to pick up school time. That's not the right time. When the kids are all in bed tonight, no matter how late it is, you're going to have a 5-minute bath using frankincense, geranium and lavender. That is the rule. And sometimes I've been known to have baths at 2 o'clock in the morning just because I've made myself commit to creating that opportunity. And if you don't listen to yourself, you're not going to listen to anybody else. And worse than that, your children are looking to you every single moment of every single day. You are their greatest role model. You want them to grow up with a healthy approach to life, well-being, self-care and self-worth. You have to be the example. And essential oils are the greatest tool in which you can be that in all ways. Even when I'm angry, I've said to my children, they've gone, what's wrong? And I'm going, I'm just breathing on lavender to calm down because I'm very angry with you right now. So you can use it in a playful way. I'm not saying we have to be perfect. And I've gone into my children and I've said, you know what, guys, I owe you both an apology. I'm tired. I'm grumpy. You not doing the dishes has really upset me, and I apologize for the way I reacted. However, I am asking you now, I need the dishes done. At the end of the day, a happy home is when we're all in this together as a team. It upset me. I had no right to lose it the way I did. I apologize for that. But now I expect an apology because you guys haven't played your part. So, we have in the book, like Chocolate for Women, I've got apology rituals in there. We've got forgiveness rituals in there because that's part of life. It's all part of who we are and what we do.
Absolutely. And it's just that you break it down and you make it really simple as to how we can actually use it. And it's really uplifting, and it's a really great opportunity to reflect. And your book is amazing. I treat it a bit like a Bible. So it's kind of like, okay, what do I need to know about? Or I've got 5 minutes and I can sit down, and the different ways you run through everything in the book in terms of how you can use them. People would have seen on my Instagram, if I'm, say, away, I've got my little oils with me. I can put one on a face washer and steam it in the shower, and I can get it that way. And I can have a moment like for myself. I have become much bigger into baths of late. So, and I use the oils with the kids. So in terms of the bath and also in terms of the vaporizer. So in terms of at nighttime, so that it just creates that space. It's just very simple, and then, it gives us a talking point to be able to talk about and educate on some of those things and explain what we're doing.
Exactly. And I think that's probably where I ended up going from the book into the education program, because so many people were wanting to learn, how can I do this on a daily basis? How do I do it when it just becomes habit? How do I know if I'm doing the right thing, So I feel very grateful that we got the book out, and then, it's just evolved from there. So I'm very excited about what we're doing as far as helping women like us be the best version of us, so that we can in turn be the best role models, not supermodels, but the best role models to our kids. Absolutely. I have a belief and a drive. Someone asked me in an interview the other day, Kim, why did you start 28? Is it because you want to change the world? And, probably 10, 20 years ago when I had the vision of doing this, it would have been to change the world or change people or make a difference in their lives. And then I've been really looking at it over the last year, particularly as I launched my own program. And I realised, actually, you know what? I don't want to change the world. I don't want to do anything. But if I can teach one mum to use maybe 2 drops of lavender on a pillow instead of Panadol, if I can help one man rub his beautiful son's feet just before a rugby game because he's 6 years of age and he's scared of playing or whatever it is, if I can teach one child the art of self-care, a teenager to look in the mirror and say that I love who I am, even though I'm not feeling great today, I still love me. If I can teach one person in the home one thing that changes their perception on things, then that is ultimately why I do what I do. And maybe that change in the home will create a ripple effect into the community, which will create a ripple effect into society, which will create a ripple effect in the world. Then maybe, rather than going big, if I can bring it right into those micro moments and help one person, then maybe the ripple effect will help the change that we all want to see or we all want to be. That's ultimately why I do what I do.
Absolutely. And people can actually spend more time with you in an education sense on your education program. And the fact that you have that program and you debunk a lot of the myths and you remove the fad and you talk about the simple health and lifestyle education pieces, and they can actually do it with you rather than doing it by themselves. They can come back to you and ask you all the questions about, oh, this person said this and this person said that, or, all those funny little experiences to share between themselves that they can share in the community. And I'll give you an example. I was at my parents' 60th the weekend before last, and I generally put myself in charge of catering, and there I had some bottles of water with some mint and some cinnamon in it. Cinnamon quill, and people often see me with it and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, this is the cinnamon and a bit of mint. And interestingly, my mum says to me, oh, grandma used to do that. And it's that ancient wisdom, and the way that you bring that ancient wisdom and all of that knowledge, Kim, to each of us, whether it be a person like me, listening to the podcast and using your amazing products, whether it's the educators in your business and people that come and do your education courses, or people like me who get to come on retreats and hang out with you. So I feel very fortunate that you actually allow us the opportunity to come and spend time and learn from you. I can see one comment. I can see one comment on the side, so I'm just going to draw my attention over to there. I learned recently that a baby can be born with 200 chemicals in their system. This gobsmacked me because of the unknowns, like you said. And it's the unknowns that I want to change, not to take the off-the-shelf products as safe products, to make the choice and have the knowledge of what I use. My point being, the less I put in my body, the less my baby is born with.
Yeah. And you know what? There is no avoiding of chemicals. So the reality is they've taken blood from umbilical cords from polar bears in the Antarctic. So we know that there is chemicals in our waterways. We know that we will never avoid all chemicals, but we can lessen the burden and the toxic load in our homes. And that's why I've come back into nailing and honing in on the family. Plug-ins, air fresheners, deodorants, shampoos, and let alone all the chemicals and foods and pots and cleaning products and carpet and couches. And like I'm studying my environmental toxins course at the moment through America, and a lot of this information I'm bringing into the program because people need to know it and we need to be aware of it. And the scary thing is that you get these massive conglomerations who override, and they find scientists to write the data and the material to protect what they're doing. And then you have the amount of scientists that are undoing the data and showing you the other side. So for every person that always challenges me on something, I always go, well, look, I guarantee you and I will find just as much information about both sides. So my point isn't about finding the information, but what is your gut feeling that's right? Does it feel right to you that we should be putting all these chemicals into these babies' foods and products? Does it feel right to you that when you heat a bottle of milk in a microwave as opposed to on the stove, that it would alter the food in some way that may have detrimental effects on my baby? Does that not make sense to you? Are we doing things too quickly? Are we not honouring what it takes for the land to have a cross and multi-cultural, multi-cropping and actually having farmers that care about their animals and having people that grow plants like the spiritual evolution of plants, another program that I've just finished, talks, I look out, even out my window here, and I look at trees with such reverence. If it was not for trees, we would not be here. And when I walk down to the beach and my hand brushes over a plant, I give thanks, because it's thanks to the plants that we are here. And it's from plants that I get essential oils. It's from plants that feed our beautiful animals that people eat, or it's from plants that we ourselves get our vegetables. So, again, it's having that real appreciation on probably a more esoteric spiritual understanding that then has us function in our everyday. But it also stops you buying into the drama of the everyday, because ultimately when you take a step back and you look at it all, we're all the same. We're all one. We're all just trying to do our best. And so from as far as chemicals with babies, and you're absolutely right, most babies are born. And I have my own theory. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I have my own theory around all the bombardment. We have bombarded our babies, our bodies with so many chemicals from the inside and the outside, that our babies are being born with major autoimmune diseases, or they're getting ill very young, or they've got ADD or ADHD, or they're overweight. And people don't even realize this group of chemicals called obesogens, and there's 20 known obesogens. One of them is MSG, nicotine's another one, phthalates, that hidden lot of 300 chemicals that I talked about before, which is what makes shower curtains soft and rubber ducky toys soft and holds perfume. It's a fixative. So when you look at what they put into all these so-called lovely baby products, I go, think about the toys that your grandmother or you might have had. They were little wooden toys, or there wasn't the plastics that there is now. And our mothers fed us with glass bottles, not with plastic bottles that perhaps have BPA in them. And look, it's, sometimes I get so much information that I get overwhelmed with it, that I kind of go, oh my gosh, what's the point of living? When you start realizing how many things are out there. So get it back, take a deep breath, spritz ourselves, and remember that it's not too big. I can do it in baby steps. I'm going to get rid of I will never heat anything in plastic or put anything in plastic in the fridge with hot food in it. I'm going to swap all my bowls to glass. That might be one step. You might have your glass drinking bottles instead of a plastic bottle. That could be a great step forward. It might be that you end up getting rid of any chemical, natural product. You never buy from your supermarket again. You go to your farmers markets. You buy products that are eco-friendly, and you look at the ingredients. Follow someone like Nicole Bilsma, who's got that book. She's got a range of products called Abode. I've just gone blank with the name of her book. I've just gone blank. Anyway,
we can put a link in the show notes.
Yes, sorry. She's got a beautiful book. There's lots of information out there. And I guess what I've done, I'm not an expert in any of it except essential oils. I've just taken my whole life's work and put it into a 16-week module online program. And then from there, we have another 12-week integration program, all included in the same price. Plus, you get to come to the Sunshine Coast for the 4-day face-to-face training, and we get to hang out and play and really see what it means to be a change agent in your home. And then who knows where it might take you. You might want to sell the products. I'm not worried about that. It's not a multi-level marketing or a direct selling business. It's not. It's just that you have the ability to then buy the products at wholesale and share that with the world. That's why I do what I do. So, as far as that beautiful question, yes, you can make a difference. Don't get overwhelmed with it. Know that the body has been born to be resilient and powerful and strong. And the more stronger intention, if you do things with love and not fear, then you will find yourself in a real place of right intention. So, I vaccinated my children with the information I know now at them at 18 and 17 years of age. If what I know now, I possibly wouldn't have vaccinated them back then. However, I did, so that I took them to a naturopath, and we spent 2 years on homeopathic remedies, unvaccinating the vaccination. Whether it worked or not, who knows, but it felt really good for me with the intention behind it. So there's always answers and there's always ways, and you've got to remember, if we knew better, we would do better. So what do I know right here, right now? Here's what I can do with the knowledge I've got. It's baby steps. It's making it simple, being kind to yourself and to others, and always honouring the fact that there's always another way. It's always easy, and to love who you are.
I think that's a wonderful note to end on, Kim. You are an absolute amazing woman. You are wonderful to follow on social media. You're very inspiring. You're very open in the way you share your journey. You share the ups, you share the downs, you share this is what I've been working on, this is what I've been investigating. And the fact you do all that stuff is incredibly helpful to me because I don't know what you do, and I don't investigate in the way you do. I'm much better at investigating the business side of things and product architecture and how do what are the assets in my business? That's my contribution to the world. And what I seek to do with the Grow Project is bring people like yourself and Nat and Mel and Anthea Kalouros and Ani Kiko and all these people to the awareness of those that are in business so that they can actually understand how they can have both. They can have a growing business, and actually when they look after themselves and they have amazing self-care, their business will grow. And when they're looking after themselves, it helps their mindset, and there's things that they can then be doing on a day-to-day basis which allows them to be coachable, as you said, and to access those smarts that exist, whether they're in business, in health, or in lifestyle. I had lots of other things on my list, but that's just me. I would just, for anybody that hasn't come across your podcast Up for a Chat, you and Cindy and Karen get together and have an amazing chat about a wealth of topics. One in particular that I recall that really stood out was with your mother-in-law. And there was a particular line there that she mentioned about the opportunity of motherhood that I couldn't agree more with, and how fortunate we are as women to be able to go through motherhood, because motherhood, she was speaking, is the opportunity for a deconstruction and a reconstruction of your life. And that men actually don't get that opportunity until they sometimes have a midlife crisis. And just the way you get a beautiful opportunity at motherhood, which is why I work with women who generally haven't had a baby at all, or they've got one and they just want to have it a different way. And it is a massive opportunity. And I think some people just look at the baby or they look at the family that they see they'd like to have and create. But it's an immense journey. And I love that language that your beautiful mother-in-law put around it, because it was like, yeah, that's, and that's what makes me a much more beautiful human and much more vulnerable and loving the vulnerability. And I have grown more in the 5 years I've had my children than I did in all the years beforehand. And yet I work less, I make more money, and I'm a much healthier, happy human being. So thank you for the part you have played in inspiring us. People can catch you on the podcast. They can see the amazing creations at 28, which is 20 the word and the number 8. They will find all of your blogs, your videos. They can find information about your body boost, your amazing retreats, the trips that you go on, to places like Machu Picchu, and all the amazing things you create in the world. And as I mentioned earlier, I would strongly encourage that you jump on Kim's list for her newsletter and check it out for yourself. So thank you very much, Kimmy, for joining us today. And I look forward to people experiencing the amazing side of you and your business.
Well, and you're coming to the Sunshine Coast for the retreat, aren't you? I
am, with my best friend.
In August. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you. So for everybody who has joined us on Kim's call today, this is part of the 7-Day Business Fuel Challenge, and we are talking about how individual performance and what fuels you up individually. Oh, I've just realised, Kim, I've forgotten one thing really quickly. What are your top 5 fuel sources? Okay. Well, for anything, for business and everything? Anything in your life. The top 5 things that fuel you up.
So I always look at it from a chemical, physical, nutritional, emotional, mental, spiritual side of view. So the chemical is always, what is the best food sources that have a chemical reaction in my body? So natural eating, close to the natural source as possible. Physical, if it's a 2-minute WOD in my bedroom, which might just be 10 sit-ups, 10 press-ups, 10 tricep dips and 10 squats. That's my workout done for the day. Or I'll go to the gym for a 1-hour class, or it's actually a 30-minute intense class. The other thing is across the thing of the rituals around emotional self-care, which is definitely around my oils. So I'll always body boost. I have body boosted every single day since I was 18 and a half years of age. And hand on heart, I've never missed a day. So that to me is really important, non-negotiable, and is never missed. And then, of course, I also, whoever's up first in our house or whoever gets first to here to the office lights all the vaporizers. And I have a little ritual around lighting that, which is about lighting the inner spark within you. So it's just my little metaphor to anchor into that. And I think from a business point of view, we're very open, we're very communicative, and from a mental emotional point of view there, we have our weekly meetings. I've got a coach. I spend a lot of money with a coach, and it is worth every penny, so I'm accountable to him, and he challenges me every step of the way. And was there one other? And being kind, like being very open that every opportunity is an opportunity for some beautiful lesson. So whether it's my children, someone cutting me off in the car, whether my girlfriend's just texted me, whether someone's just told me I've got a beautiful newsletter, whatever it is, there is always an opportunity for grace. And on the days that I'm really struggling, my fuel for the tank is this: God, give me the courage, grace, strength, and dignity to get through this, and the wisdom, heart, and energy to be able to laugh about it in days or weeks to come. So I'm really very big on honouring the harsh and the not so good and the struggling days as much as I am the good. Is that 5?
That's perfect.
That was off the cuff. Off the top, I was thinking, what do I do every day?
Everybody.
What do I do every day? I think that's what I do every day.
Fantastic. Thank you. So to connect with what top 5 fuel sources our other interviewees and co-hosts have said, or to grab your printable, which kind of talks about all the different fuel sources, and perhaps consider putting a body boost on your regular fuel sources, please join us over on our 7-Day Business Fuel Challenge page at rebeccanewmanonline.com.au, and I can see the events link is down in the live chat. You'll also be able to see our full schedule, including our sessions this afternoon, as we tie it all together and talk about what fuels you and what fuels your business. We would, of course, love to see you at any of our future events. We have our amazing Grow Lab one-day event coming up, as well as our Grow Lab experiments, where you get to come and do something like walk in a labyrinth and understand how that affects your mind, or go trapezing and see how that actually affects your behavior and can indicate your risk profile when it comes to business. So we have lots of fun talking about how to grow businesses and babies at the same time and meet people like the amazing Kim. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you very much, Kim, for sharing your amazing story, and I will be in contact again soon. Ciao for now. Thank you. Bye.